www.southeastdance.org.uk.
Okay, Vicky, thank you for spending time with me on the CineCity podcast.
No worries, thank you very much.
So, over the airwaves of the internet, I'm joined by Becky Edmonds to talk about her film Sand, Little Sand. Welcome to the CineCity podcast, Becky.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. I said I wasn't going to ask you any hard questions, but I'm going to ask you a question that some people tend to find a bit hard to answer, which is just, how did you become, a filmmaker, a dance filmmaker? Kind of what led you to this path?
Well, I trained as a dancer and I worked as a dancer and choreographer for about 12 years. And then I was introduced to screen dance through a workshop that I did in Brighton. And I became really attracted to composing movement, really, on video. So movement within the frame, but also movement in time, as constructed in the edit. And I made a shift over to video making in 2000.
So did you find that, compared to the dance work that you'd been doing previously, when you started to work with video, that it kind of required almost a complete rethink of your approach to the moves?
In some sense, it did, but in other ways, I kind of feel that I make work in exactly the same way that I've always made work. At the very heart of it, it's the same process. It's the same process of composition, really. It's just that you're working in a different medium. So I didn't feel I was starting over again. I was just applying what I knew to a different medium.
Because, like I said in the introduction, your dance film, Sand, Little Sand, it's a dance film without a dancer, which kind of seems like a very strange thing to say and isn't necessarily completely accurate. Would you be able to kind of tell us a little bit about Sand, Little Sand?
There was a dancer in it, but I erased her in post-production. So the dance is there, but you're only seeing the effects of it. It's shot in a dry riverbed, and there was a dancer working in that dry riverbed, which was very, very dusty. And she was working physically to move the dust around. And then in post-production, her body has been erased, but the effects of her movement are still seen through the movement of the dust.
What was the thinking behind that? It sounds that for you to approach the film in such a way, and rather present the film in such a way that there's almost, a manifesto about movement and time and I suppose, a person's effect on their environment or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think in a way I sort of came upon the film by accident in a way, which is how I like to come upon material that I'm going to film. I didn't plan that was a film that I wanted to make. I was working in Argentina. I was there for a month. And I was there as a guest of the Video Dance Festival that happens in Buenos Aires there. And the Arts Council here had given me a grant to go out and I could research anything I wanted to in Argentina. I very much wanted to go into the landscape of Argentina, to get out of the cities and into these extraordinary landscapes. It's a phenomenally beautiful country and huge as well. The spaces are really big, which is very different to the spaces I work in England, which seem kind of, wherever you look, you can see houses or telegraph poles or something that gives you evidence of humanity. Whereas in Argentina, you could really get out into huge spaces where you couldn't see evidence of anyone else. So I wanted to research if I could put dancing into these landscapes. And that's something I've kind of always had a difficulty with. I don't find it easy to watch dance films that place theatrical dancing bodies in natural landscapes. I find it to be a very odd juxtaposition. So my research was, is there a way that I can find that I can do it that will please me? And, Sand, Little Sand is the result of that. The answer was no, I can't cope with putting the dancing body into a landscape, into a natural landscape, so I'll erase it, but somehow leave a sense that it was there.
On a practical method, I'm wondering how you went about creating the piece, because I suppose the traditional and most probably the most painless method of doing it would have been to have your dancer in front of, shot in front of a blue or a green screen. So, did you have the luxury of using a blue or green screen, or was it?
No. No, not at all. No, it was shot on location. It took about 10 minutes to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
I shot the space empty and I shot the space with the dancer in it, and then it's a really simple split screen. So, you know, the wind was blowing in one direction, so the dust moves to one side of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's simple. But that kind of wasn't planned, really. The only plan was, as we were driving along and I went, let's go down there, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And we went down there and we kind of looked at it. And I saw the way the dust was moving. I asked the woman I was working with to just move the dust, and she improvised. And I shot it, and then I always shoot an empty landscape just in case I need it. So when I got back, when I looked at the footage, I saw what was there, and I played around until I found a way of being able to erase the body, but which left really rhythmic, odd, interesting movement of dust.
It's kind of like that you almost found the film again in the edit.
Yes, definitely. Because if I try and plan films, I don't enjoy that thing of sitting down and going, I'm going to make a film, what is it going to be about? I'm much happier to go out and get into circumstances that might interest me, film something that's there that I could never have imagined that interests me, and to work from that. And I believe that the work is better for me not designing it, but for me finding it by accident. It's going to be far more surprising to me, at least, than if I sit down and try and plan and design things. And that's just not the way that I work. I completely appreciate other people who can do it, and I find it really admirable. But I don't like making things up. I like finding things and then representing those things.
So that's very good that because you said that, you were funded for the film and kind of basically given a clean slate to go out there and
Yeah.
create the way that you create. Have you found it hard to fund your films? Because, normally, you have to really kind of spell out, this is what it is and this is what it's going to be like. And it's,
Yeah. I mean, I have immense problems with, whenever there's a funding thing comes up for film or video, then they do want treatments or storyboards or scripts or any of those things. And I think in a way, I continue to be funded by the dance funding schemes more than film funding or video funding, simply because I think there's more of a tradition in dance in its contemporary arts practice for not knowing. And not knowing is given value. And there's kind of a history within dance of not knowing being a valuable way to begin. And I don't know, I haven't found anywhere within film and video where not knowing is acceptable.
Quite a few of the other filmmakers and artists that I've spoken to who are playing as part of Dance for Camera have, at some point in the interview, stated that they don't necessarily see themselves as dance filmmakers. They see themselves as filmmakers who, because of maybe their dance backgrounds or their interest in movement, end up making films that can be classed as dance films, but that's not how they see themselves. They just see themselves as, artists. Is that true for yourself as well?
I would see myself as an artist, but one whose main influences have come from dance. So, I would claim dance as a heritage, definitely. And so if it's helpful for people to understand the work, that I call myself a dance videographer or anything connected with dance. I mean, I never say I'm a filmmaker because I don't use film. I would say I'm a dance videographer, definitely. I'll wave the flag.
Thank you for joining us on the CineCity podcast. And I look forward to, seeing Sand Little Sand played in its full glory, projected, because I only saw it on a little kind of TV at the back of an office.
Right.
When I saw it the other day. So I look forward to seeing it full and seeing you there as well at the screening.
Great. Excellent. Look forward to meeting you there.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I'm sat in the cavernous sounding room below Southeast Dance with choreographer, director, DOP Silk Manshot, whose film A German Grandchild's Funeral is playing as part of CineCity and more specifically as part of the Dance for Camera Festival within CineCity. So welcome to the CineCity podcast.
Hello.
I'm going to ease you in, or rather hoodwink you, with the question of how did you get involved with film and dance film in the first place?
My first background really is visual art. I've studied some photography in Germany. So I'm very interested in composing pictures, images. That's really, I think that's what draws me to film, first of all. After a few years, I ended up in England to study dance and performance with Liz Eggers at the University of Brighton, and she then taught dance for camera there. So